right, guys, so I've been sitting on this idea for a little bit now, and I just did the latest Shiyu with the, I call him Jay Gundam, but I think you guys are referring to him, or rather he's known as Thracian, but now he's like etherfied, right? He's got the miasma, which is super cool, by the way. Really cool thing. Definitely a much more challenging fight if you don't know how to deal with it, but for the most part, still Thracian, right? Still Jay Gundam. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because I've been sitting on this idea, and this idea has basically been that Zenless is now getting to a point where it is more matchup based. And for a bit now, Zenless was more matchup based, but what do I mean by that, right? For somebody that doesn't understand what I'm talking about, if you don't have the similar background that I have, which yes, it is a fighting game reference that I'm bringing up, but it's not just fighting games. Matchups are not a fighting game thing. Matchups are a PvP thing, 1v1, 3v3, whatever. Anything that has PvP or some type of, player versus player system, there will be a matchup. What does matchup mean? Matchup is a favorable system, or rather I'm going to explain that or rather I'm going to use that to explain it. If you have character A and character B, or character A versus character B, the matchup means that character A is either at an advantage, neutral, or a disadvantage to character B. So in Zenless's case, because there's not really a character versus character thing, it's more along the lines of a enemy or boss or design versus the team versus the character versus the player, whatever. But before we get into that, we got a sponsor. Are you tired of losing? Are you tired of losing those 50-50s to bullshit? Don't worry, big dog, I got just the deal. Introducing Lootbar, a popular top-up website that offers you purchases up to 23% cheaper. Nani? Now you can score that cool Jafufu without missing a beat. Using Lootbar is actually pretty easy too. All we have to do is pick the pack we want, type in our game UID, make the purchase, and voila. But wait, there's more. Not only does Lootbar use the same in-game routing as Zenless, but they're even working around 7 days a week to provide their own trustworthy service. And because I'm me, just for you guys, I got Lootbar to double down. New users get a 10% off coupon right now. And I also have an exclusive link down below in the description that you can use to get a discount on top of that. Now get out there and go pull that new character. Now that that's taken care of, let's look at some of the different enemies here in the game, right? Some of these details, we'll start with like the basic, very bare bones, enemy 1, enemy 2, right? There's Bellum, and then there's the Wanted Enforcer. These aren't really matchup based to the point where a player is going to be thinking about what they're doing. When you're fighting Wanted Enforcer, he's coming in with a couple swings, you get a lot of parry opportunities, and then he has 1 or 2 moves like the 1-2, where instead of a parry, the underhand punches, you need to dodge those punches. That's more so just knowledge. But then you get someone like Bellum, and if we read over here, you can see it. During combat, this enemy performs attacks that perfectly mimic those of its target and uses a blade, gun, shield, and flamethrower to pressure the enemy at close range. If attacked while guarding with a shield, they'll respond with a powerful counter strike. When their health drops below a certain percentage, their attacks intensify, becoming even more vicious and relentless. If I'm thinking about this or trying to explain this from like a bare bones player perspective, this is going to be closer to like, hey, this guy is gonna ramp it up. If I don't take him out ASAP, he's gonna ramp it up. I need to be able to defend myself. So this is gonna lead you towards some characters. We can look at her here. Lead you towards some characters like Caesar. And there's nothing wrong with Caesar, right? Obviously, there's nothing wrong with Caesar. Now, when it comes to Caesar being a defensive type of agent, the key thing that I want to point out is the fact that she has her parry, which is going to be over here, the EX special parry counter. So this is a manual parry on top of the actual, the physical parry, which is your assist, your defensive assist, and then it's going to give you the shield, so on and so forth. This is pretty average, pretty standard knowledge for anybody that's been playing Zenless for a little bit. I think Caesar's on the banner right now, so newer players might not have had that, and now you're getting to see Caesar. If you got her, awesome, congratulations. She's a great unit. I just want her to do more damage so I can play my favorite character in the game, but outside of that, that is what she does. So if we come back over here and let's say that, we're playing it up, we're fighting this guy, right? And I'm prepared for whatever, stage details. I come over here, the punchy dude, parries,
this is the path
and then
I
Bellum.
follow.
Who am I going to play on my account that's going to help me ramp up the damage, get what I'm looking for, right? Without really having too much of an issue. If I'm looking for my DPS characters and, maybe let's say that you just have Billy.
I'm ready to roll.
Boom, you slap Billy on the team. Or maybe you just have Piper, right? Boom, you slap Piper on the team. And now you're like, all right, how do I deal with old boy? Piper's going to be relentless, but now I need Caesar. But now we need to round that out, right? So I think the usual thing that you guys do is like Lucy, yeah. So this is gonna be your standard team. that we're going to be using here. So this is obvious as far as like team building goes, but what is getting into some more depths of that? Piper being your DPS, Caesar being your defensive agent, and then Lucy being the one that's going to help you out. Now, how does this work in terms of like the matchup, right? Lucy is your gap closer. So when this guy or this guy is too far away, when these guys are too spread out, you're going to be able to close the gap with Lucy. Caesar is going to be able to give you your some form of CC with her shield, right? You hold the assist button or you hold the basic, she'll do her spinny spin, the radiant shield. That's going to be able to help you group them all in there, group the enemies in there, stuff like that. That's bare bone stuff. And I needed to explain it that way so that more people understand exactly what I'm trying to get across. Now, if I were to relate this to fighting games for just a moment, we're going to take the traditional matchup of Cammy versus Ryu in any Street Fighter game. You're probably watching Street Fighter 6 gameplay right now. Fireballs are typically the best way to keep out anybody in a fighting game, right? If you're playing a game, fireballs are usually your go-to thing to control space. And what you want to do with that space is, hey, this is my space. You can't come over here. If you come over here, I'm going to punish you. I'm going to counter you. I'm going to take advantage of it. I want full control at all times. And so a character like Cammy, who is a rushdown character, if she doesn't have a way to get around these fireballs or to defend herself against them or, you know, keep the pressure on, then it makes this matchup unfavorable for her, and it creates a harder situation for the player. However, Cammy has something called the the spin knuckle. She has spin knuckle, which is the spin move, the reverse, you know, fist move that she does. You'll see her twist around. He throws the fist out. This has always been her go-to move to get around, or get through, I should say, fireballs. Over the course of time, this gets nerfed and buffed, so it might be better or worse depending on the game. Like right now in Street Fighter 6, I think EX spin knuckle is the way that you get through fireballs, versus regular spin knuckle is way too slow now. So a lot of the fireballs do beat you out, and you don't have the full iframes anymore. In previous games, that wasn't the case, but it is what it is. We're playing in modern eras today. She also has dive kicks, instant air dive kicks, and controllable dive kicks at that. Why am I explaining fighting game stuff, the terminology and things like that? It's so that you guys understand the correlation that I'm trying to display now. So let's go back and let's look at some of the enemies in the game. And is there a way that I can actually, hold on, I'm looking for it, but I don't see it. I know there's a way that we can just look at enemies, right? Like there's a proxy handbook. I thought it was in the handbook, but it's not. What I'm trying to do is basically show you guys every single enemy or all the different types of enemies in the game to be able to give you a better perspective of what I mean or what I'm aiming at when it comes to some of these characters. So with Heidi, right? During combat, Heidi Pack Leader exhibits a strong desire to attack with agile and rapid moves. This is basically the same version of Heidi, except the difference is he is now unarmored. There is no armor on this character anymore, which, do we even have an armored version of Heidi? There we go, armored Heidi. All right, so I had to come in here inside of the other note to figure it out, but armored Heidi, right? This is the one that I showed you guys in my short form and on stream and in the video. You parry him 3 times, armor comes off, you do your thing, and then now you can do all your damage, and he's still the same way, right? But this other version of Heidi, which is the one here in the critical node, energized version, not only is he faster naturally because he doesn't have all the armor on, not only is he more aggressive, but now he's stronger. He has better attacks, or I guess more frequent attacks, more agile attacks, and he's looking to dodge you a little bit easier now. And the elemental weaknesses and resistances are different. You aren't gonna fight this version of Heidi the same way that you would fight the armored version. Why? Because you really don't need the parries. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, you can parry him. It's gonna help you get the stuns for sure. But when it comes to like trying to figure this out or fight this character, you don't really need it. The same thing can be said when it comes to Thracian. Now, what do we understand about Thracian versus like every other character in the game or enemy in the game? Something that you might not know, which I'll make a short on this too. Thracian goes into his lightning-based mode earlier, or rather with 2 things. And there might be more, but I'm going to keep it simple. Thracian enters his electrified mode, or his powered up mode, his boosted mode, when timer hits a certain number, like when you just let him do it, or when you parry too much. After a certain amount of parries, I think the number is maybe like 4 or 5. I don't know about this one in particular, the miasmic Thracian, but regular Thracian, when you parry J Gundam 4 or 5 times, he's automatically gonna chuck that lightning spear in the air, and then he's gonna go into his electrified mode. This is a problem for a lot of players, because not only is the electrified mode going to significantly shorten the amount of time that he has a stun. So if you happen to stun him while he's in electrified mode, the stun timer is quick, it's way faster than anything else in the game. Not only that, but he also gets his resistances increased on top of that. So the whole goal is to get the stun without actually using those defensive parries. So this, again, you're going to have characters like Ishwin, like Miyabi, like Yanagi, like Caesar with her shield. Characters that have a manual parry built into their kit that don't count as a defensive assist for his conditions to trigger. Or you're going to want characters that naturally just bum rush this guy, and then you're going to have to play a little bit smarter, and you do your parries when they matter, when you need them. 3 or 4 parries right before, and then you're gonna get the clean stun before he even goes into lightning. There's also, we talk about this with like Miyabi, right? Where I mentioned to you guys how Miyabi has the whole freeze thing, and you just don't have to worry about that. Or using Miyabi with Sokaku, and Sokaku also has 1, 2, 3, right? 3 EX skills and they're frozen. These type of characters have a way to nullify or ignore the system mechanics placed in the game, which is amazing. So now when you have a character like Miyabi, she's able to do EX skill, you get the freeze off, and then now you don't have to worry about, or you can stop him from going into his electrified state. This makes it better for you. Same thing applies though to the miasmic Thracian. Yeah, that's not the one we're looking for. It's this guy right here. Same thing applies to miasmic Thracian. Now the difference is, right, you got to deal with miasma, you got to deal with the shield, and you got to deal with his boosted up mode. It's a lot. Nobody really wants to deal with miasmic thunderbolts. Okay, I'm not gonna hold you, but I think he is one of the cooler enemy designs in the game. Matchups that are gonna be able to help you take him out significantly easier. And then on top of that, hold on, I have a tweet that I want to show you guys too. This is probably something closer to what I'm feeling or talking about when it comes to matchups. If you're familiar with Genshin Impact, you guys have absolutely seen this before, but the term was not used. The term matchups was not used. Normally what you guys might hear in more static or rotation based games is what teams can beat blank. So in Genshin, you might hear this from like, hey, this version of Spiral Abyss 12, the teams that are able to beat it will be, I don't know all the things from Dendra, right? Bloom or Hyper Bloom or Freeze or Melt. And then you'll label like, hey, this person, this person, this person, this person, all on one team. Here's the strategy behind how to beat it. The same thing has been in Zenless for a long time, but we haven't had a lot of characters to really diversify that. So most of it came down to just the type of team. Now we're getting to a point where we have way more characters, and these characters are different. What does that mean? Pompey, in this case, right, being weak to fire. Now you see we have a team with Jane, anomaly based, Jane, Bernice, and Caesar able to handle Pompey. We have a team with Soldier, Jafufu, and Lighter able to handle Pompey. And then Evelyn, Lighter, and Astra able to handle Pompey. All 3 of these teams play completely differently, but they're aiming for the same goal, which is to get the kill, right? But how they get the kill is completely different. So this is what I mean by like more matchup based. Then you look into like, okay, what's Jane's matchup versus Pompey? How does she operate with that? Bernice is helping her. How do you play that? How do you play Jane, Pompey, and of course Caesar, or Jane, Bernice, my bad. Pompey is not a character you can play. How do you play Jane, Bernice, and Caesar on the same team against Pompey? What are the key things you're looking out for? When do you want to do things? When do you want to get these parries? What do you want to avoid? Things like that. You go down the list. Same thing with the energized machine guy down here, right? Ishwin, Soldier Zero, Yanagi, and Haramasa all play differently. They're all giving you different matchups. This is where we're going. In a previous, or not a previous video, I've talked about this a couple times, but I'm working on the other video here. It's like, I gotta script it, otherwise I'm gonna ramble like I'm doing now. JP or Western versus Eastern, whatever you wanna label it as, the mentality is completely different. The mindset behind what players are doing is completely different. How they go about studying, and I don't want to say just studying the game, but like developing the game or evolving with the game, completely different than the global mindset. Right now, if I were to label this as a single statement, global is looking at Zenless as more of a like, give me my reward. What's the easiest way that I can do something, right? How do I gain maximum reward with minimum effort? That's the mindset currently that most of the vocal majority when it comes to the global player base is expressing right now, versus JP is not expressing that at all. They're looking for the top of the top. They're looking for how to maximize and optimize every single team possible. If their favorite team is Jane, Bernice, and Caesar, which is a 1.0 team, how do I make this team score 65K? How do I make this team score as high as possible? How do I make this team clear as fast as possible? That's what they're looking for. That's how they're trying to figure out how to optimize it. And they're still playing tons of these teams, tons of these 1.0 teams against these top tier bosses or hard hitting bosses to this day. We have a huge roster in the game right now to allow players to be able to do that. We just got the Ellen buff, and it's being rumored that Jane is going to be the next buff that we get. all of these characters being viable in some way, shape, or form. They just require you to put in a little bit of effort to get to that point. I love this. I love that the game is getting to this point now. I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome. And everybody else, anyone that's in love with Zenless or like playing Zenless, if you're new or veteran, whatever, you should eventually, I would say it's in your best interest to try and shift the way that you think about playing these type of games. Doesn't even have to be Zenless, any of these games, and evolve or mend your mentality so that it aligns more along with like maximizing your ability to do something to get whatever it is that you're looking for. I'm lazy, so I understand playing at a very minimum effort if you don't want to do a lot of work. I do that every Shiyu. Unless I need to clear fast because I want to prove something, I don't care. If I clear in 30 seconds or 2 minutes and 30 seconds or 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I don't care. Whatever's going to give me the clear as fast as possible so I can go back to playing Persona or Monster Hunter or whatever else I'm doing with my time in that moment. But
Officer 148,
you have matchups for everything, right? Juyuin, Soldier Zero, Ambi, Bernice, you have Jane, you have Harumasu, you have Hugo, you have Evelyn, you have Vivian, which is, you know, technically gonna be there with Yanagi as well. You have E Schwinn, you have Soldier Zero, Ambi, DPS Sokaku, if you want to run that. Rina got a big step up. Rina got a huge improvement with Miasma coming into the game now. We already knew Nicole was crazy good. I still consider her tier 0. Like if I needed a tier in between tier 0 and 0.5, Nicole's like 0.3, right? Rina is making her way up. I would not be surprised if you guys start to see like, hey man, Rina jumped up from tier 4 or tier 3 all the way up to tier 1, tier 0.5 based on Pride Wins, you know, category and criteria. Wouldn't be surprised. Nekomata, despite her being a little weaker, players that have Nekomata M1 with her W engine, right? M1 W1 or higher, they're putting in work too. Grace is putting in work. Corin is putting in work. Piper and Billy are putting in work. And Anton has probably one of the most diverse play styles in the game because he does not play like any of these other DPS characters. We have so much now, so much of a large roster now that we should be looking at. Instead of looking at this more along the lines of like which, I guess, archetype is beating something, think about it like a matchup. If you want to. I just hit my mic. If you want to. The way that I'm thinking about it, the way that it registers easier with me is matchup based. It makes so much more sense now, especially with the roster that we have available to us and the different types of kits. Yuzuha and Alice are gonna be here pretty soon, I think in about 2 weeks, give or take. And I do believe that, especially Alice, from what I've seen about her, I'm still disappointed at the changes. You guys know what they are. If you do, if you don't, then keep your excitement. It is what it is, all right? But these play styles are introducing new ways to play, new matchups, and it's opening the door. 2.0, I think, is gonna do exactly what the devs wanted to do. They mentioned how they wanted to expand and evolve the gameplay to be more fun, but engaging, while still providing the challenge. I think the units coming in 2.0, I think the buffs that we're getting for the 1.x characters, all of this is helping to achieve their goal. Zenless is looking like a great game coming up in the future, right? Like that as we progress throughout the rest of the year. Not the biggest fan of the open world stuff. That's why I didn't play it like that, but it is what it is. Anyhow, let me get out of here. I don't want to ramble too much more or too much longer. Let me finish working on the video. There's like so many videos I got to make, guys. Quick little tidbit of what's going on, because most of you guys don't know that I have the other channel, EO. If you do, then I really don't upload over there like that. I've been mostly focused on Zenless because that's where my heart is right now. But we are revisiting Wuthering Waves. Some of y'all saw me stream it. I will point out the Brant and Chun-Li, well, Chang-Li, but we call her Chun-Li now. The Brant and Chun-Li thing, and then Lupa's here. Lupa has a Tekken input, like a Tekken command input. Apparently Lupa and Zani have Tekken inputs now in Wuthering Waves. And I'm saying Tekken specifically because they have the star input. Now I know DMC and I think PGR recently introduced it, but that star input came from Tekken. So like it is a Tekken input and it's in the game. And I think that's cool as shit, okay? We're also gonna be revisiting Starro a little bit because some other stuff and whatnot. And then NTE's here. My plate is filled up right now. Then Anime Expo is doing its own thing. Legia Crest is back in Monster Hunter. There's a lot, guys. Anyway, thank y'all for rocking with me. I appreciate that. The video, right? The sponsor, again, description down below if you want to get some easier pulls or some cheaper pulls. Y'all know what to do. Use my link, helps me out. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe. You see a little red flash at the bottom there whenever I say subscribe? It like shines red. Yeah. Smell you later.